Welcome back to the channel. Today, working on the 2005 CRF 250X again. It's a little preventative maintenance. We're going to do oil change on the engine oil in this video. I'll get the tools we need together, show you what tools they are, and it's a pretty simple job. Should only take about 10-15 minutes. The first step's warm the bike up, which I started it outside, rode it in here, let it run for about 5 minutes, so the oil will drain out pretty good. But I'll get all the tools gathered up and we'll get started. So the tools you're gonna need for this, you got a 8mm, a 10, and a 12mm socket, ratchet, little impact with the 3/8 adapter on it. I always like to have a magnetic dish to put my bolts in. A clear measuring cup that has milliliters on it is very helpful. A little bit of grease for keeping the spring on the filter, and then 1 quart of the proper oil, and some gloves, paper towels. That's pretty much it. But go ahead and get started here. So now that we got all the tools we need, first step, you're gonna take this plastic guard off, or if you have a skid plate, it may be very similar, but just a factory plastic guard. There's one 10mm bolt right there. Get that out of the way, and that so that we can get the filter off here in a minute. Next, take your container, your drain pan, and right underneath, right there is your 10mm bolt. That's your drain for the engine oil. But get that pulled out and oil drained out of it, and then we'll get the filter out after that. You want to make sure the washer on there doesn't have any damage, big gouges, or that it's flattened too much. But let this get all drained out. Like I said, you want to warm it up first, and then the 12mm on the bottom, let it drain. We'll pull these two 8mm bolts out, pull the filter as soon as that's done draining. Short ones on the bottom, long ones on the top. But the way that they're tapped, you can't mess it up. If you put them in wrong, it won't go. Make sure your pan's underneath there. Catch the spring and the filter. So once you get that cover off, disassemble, clean it up. You want to inspect this O-ring for any damage or it could cause a leak. You don't have to change it every time, but just make sure it's in good shape. Apply a little bit of oil to that O-ring before we put it back in. And then on the filter itself, the housing goes into that rubber on this side. Put a little bit of grease to hold the spring in place. Prop the bike up a little bit just to make it sit a little more level until it quit dripping. Dab of grease on the spring like I was saying, and put it in there. It just helps it stay in place while you push it in there. We'll put it in just like that, but on the filter housing. Let me get a little oil on this O-ring, the O-ring on there. We'll put it back together. It goes together just like this. You want to pay attention. You got 2 holes, 1 hole. Passages in there, and if you look in there, you can see one's on top, 2's on the bottom. So the single hole goes towards the top. Slide it right in. Make sure your spring is pushing out on the door like that, and then we'll just wiggle it in until that O-ring hits. Put our 2 bolts in. The long one goes on top. Short one on the bottom. And I need 2 hands here, but tighten those up real quick. You do want to be careful not to over tighten these. You got steel bolts going into an aluminum housing, so it'd be pretty easy to strip those out. Well, you got filter back in. Open up the dipstick just to give it some air. Started dripping a little bit. We'll let it sit for a few minutes, drip, and then we'll put the drain plug back in and fill it up with oil. Don't want to over tighten it, but snug it up a little bit. And now it's all put back together. We'll measure out our oil, get it poured back in, and then start it up and check for leaks. So we got our oil measured out, 690 milliliters, which from what I've figured out, if you put right at 700 in the measuring cup, by the time it gets in there, the residue left in the measuring cup's about the missing 10 milliliters. So I don't think I'll be able to film it with one hand, but get the 690 milliliters of JSO MA2 oil, which the manual calls for MA, but if you do a little Googling, JSO MA2, you can use on MA1 or MA, so meets the needs and requirements of JSO MA/MA2 and Mobile One Racing 4T. I like this stuff because the three-way protection you can use in the engine and transmission with the wet clutch. So get that poured in real quick and start it and check our level. I just got the bike warmed back up at an idle, and see if that'll focus. The oil is right between the lines, probably 2/3 towards the top, so it's right where it needs to be. Get that tightened back up, and that's everything. Need to clean my bike up a little bit. As you can tell, that oil was pretty dark. I haven't had this bike very long. I don't know when the last time it was serviced was, so I'm going through everything, getting it checked out, and then start keeping track of it. I did put a new air filter in it. Got that all oiled up as well. I didn't make a video on it, but I can do that with the spare filter I bought to show you how I oil them up and stage it in a bag with my riding gear. And that way, if you ever need one, it's already ready to go. That's everything for today's video. How to do an oil change, 2005 CRF 250X. I believe it's the same from 04 up to 17 or 18, but obviously check your owner's manual or Google it. It's where most people get their information from now. Hope that helps somebody out there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it. Have a good day.